I almost didn't film this video. Words. And I feel like I'm talking really fast. Maybe I put too much coffee in my coffee. Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Sam. Welcome to the chaos. We're doing my wrap up for September today, and not gonna lie, I almost didn't film this video. I wasn't sure if I was gonna do a wrap up for September because September was such a rough month. So if you watched my TBR game for October, which was just posted last week, you know that I really didn't read anything on my September TBR. I read 2 books, but I did read more than 2 books throughout the month. I abandoned a lot of books. I abandoned the TBR. I DNF'd quite a few books, and it was just kind of a stressful month that I'm not super proud of, but I did still read some things, and I read some really great books that I do want to talk about. And I don't want, since I didn't vlog a lot of it, I really don't want these books to just kind of like fall away from my channel. So I am going to do a wrap up. We're going to talk stats. It's really not that bad. I mean, honestly, like, I always kind of hesitate when I say that like I had a bad reading month, because my idea of a bad reading month is someone else's idea of like a fantastic reading month. Everybody reads at different rates. Like if you only read 3 or 4 books a month, or 1 or 2 books a month, like that is great. You're still reading. For me personally, it's not that that's bad, it's that I know I can do better. And when I generally am reading like 10 to 15 books a month and then suddenly I'm not, it bothers me personally. So like, I'm absolutely not saying that the amount that I read this month was bad by any means. It just wasn't up to my standards. No, that sounded worse. It wasn't what I normally read. It was less than normal for me, and I know that like September was a rough month in general, like for a lot of different reasons. So the fact that my reading was less than normal is just kind of another punch for me. But it's fine. It's fine. I actually read some really great books that I do want to talk about. We are not going to talk stats this month because I apparently am literally looking at my spreadsheet on my phone, and I didn't put them all in yet. So that's cool. I hope I put everything I read into Goodreads, because if I read something else, I don't remember. But that's fine. Okay, so, yeah, stats are not up to date, and we're not going to bother with that. But I finished 3 books. DNF'd at least 3. I have like 3 physical books that I DNF'd. I DNF'd probably 6 or 7 audiobooks, but I never listened to more than like 5 to 10 minutes and then just kind of forgot that they existed. Audiobooks and me were just not vibing in September, so we're not going to even bother to talk about those because I don't remember what half they were. Words. I don't remember what half of them were, and most of them were library books, so they already got returned. So I don't really know. I don't know what they were, but it's fine. So the 6 books that I read this month, we had a mix of thrillers and mystery type of things and some middle grade. We tried doing like a whole middle grade vlog. That didn't really work out all that well, but neither did anything else for the entire month, so it's fine. So these are in no particular order because I didn't put them into my spreadsheet, so I don't know what order I read them in. But a book that I read in September was CRAVE. And if you saw my TBR game for September, you know, honestly, if you've seen any of my videos where this book has ever been mentioned, y'all know my feelings about this series, and y'all know my struggle here. And I don't know why I decided September was the time to conquer that fear, but I did, and I shouldn't have, because the fear was not conquered, and, well, maybe, thoughts. Okay, so how do I want to do this? Okay, so CRAVE. I did reread the entirety of CRAVE, and I think because I knew going in the thing, I couldn't enjoy this book. Not the same way that like the first time I read this book, I adored it, and this time I knew certain things, so I couldn't enjoy it. And if you've read the series, you probably know exactly where I'm going with that, but I don't want to spoil it for anybody. So since I couldn't like focus on the thing that I loved about it the first time, I kept getting like tripped up because I had to focus on other things. So I kept getting tripped up by like the pop culture references and the song references, and it just, I don't like pop culture references in books. I think it dates them very quickly, and I think it's kind of weird. So I'm not a huge fan of that in general, and there's so much of that in this book. And the first time I kind of like glossed over it because I was so focused on the other thing, but since I couldn't focus on that thing in order for my sanity this time, the pop culture references were much more annoying this time. But, I mean, that's not to say it's a bad book. I just couldn't enjoy it the same way that I did the first time. I can't speak today, and I feel like I'm talking really fast. Maybe I put too much coffee in my coffee. We might be on high levels of caffeine this morning. But since we're talking about CRAVE, we gotta talk about Crush, because I did start this book, and y'all know that I DNF'd this book earlier this year, was terrified to finish it because of a thing, and finally convinced myself that I was going to finish the series. That's where I got. So I did DNF it a second time. And it's not because of the thing. I actually was kind of liking the thing. I wasn't mad about the thing. I mean, I wasn't like, yes, I'm so glad this is the thing, but it was more like, okay, this thing isn't going to rip me to pieces, so I'm going to be okay with it, and I might actually end up enjoying it later on. But I was so bored. I was so bored. I mean, I know that this series as a whole is kind of like if you take Twilight and you mix it with Harry Potter. Like, that's what we get here. So, like, this book is like Triwizard Tournament, but with vampires. Like, that's what it is, kind of thing. So I just didn't like it. I didn't care about the competition thing at all. And there are so many times where, like, the person that's supposed to be the villain will make a comment that has you thinking, like, there's more to this story. Maybe said villain isn't actually as villainous as we think. And it'll be like, our main character, Grace, she'll be like, that's suspicious. But I'm just gonna keep going. It's fine. I still hate you. I still don't trust you. Like, I'm not gonna hear you out. I'm not gonna listen to you. You just made kind of a comment that makes me think maybe you're not evil, but psh, my boyfriend says you're evil, so you're still evil. And that was kind of annoying, honestly. So I was bored. I was annoyed. And once I had sat on this book for a whole week, I was just like, I guess we're done. I guess we're done. So do I think I'll ever finish the series? I cannot say at this time. I do not know. I do not know. Okay, moving on. So the next book that I read, I don't even know if it's the next book. Another book that I read in September was 100 Cupboards. This is by N.D. Wilson, and this follows our main character Henry, and basically his parents are kidnapped. And they're like looking for his parents. He is sent to live with his aunt and uncle and his cousins, and he is staying in the attic, and there's like some knocking on the wall. He ends up like tearing down the plaster and finding a bunch of cupboard doors on the wall. And it turns out that all of these doors lead to like different worlds or different time periods. Some of them lead to like the same world but different places. Like, they're all portals basically. And so it's basically like him and his cousin, whose name is Henrietta, kind of adventuring through these portals. Some of them are more dangerous than others, and there's like a bunch of things that can like go wrong, and then they kind of like, some things start to follow them back and different things like that. It is a series. It is a middle grade, very whimsical but kind of dark fantasy series. I absolutely loved this series as a kid. I wanted to love it this time, and I did enjoy the first book. Like, the first book gave me all the whimsical but slightly dark fantasy vibes. Like, I really liked it. It is a little slow. Like, what I just told you is essentially the whole book, and there's no way to not spoil it because that is what is written on the back of the book. You are like 85% of the way through the book before anything actually happens. So it is very, very slow. There is that. It is very clearly a setup for the rest of the series. There are 3 books, and then I think there's also a prequel. I've never read the prequel, but I have read the 3 books at some point in my life, but it was like a million years ago. So I did finish this one. It was good. I would still recommend it for middle grade. I didn't love it as much now, but I did love it a lot when I was a kid. But with that, I also started Dandelion Fire, which is the second book. This was another DNF for me. I got about halfway and I was just struggling so much. This one is really just a continuation of the first book, but we get more portal travel by the second book, more time spent in the other worlds, and I just kind of got bored. And I'm a person who loves fantasy, and I love fantasy worlds, and I like high fantasy. I didn't like the high fantasy part in this. Like, I was kind of bored. So yeah. I'm assuming it's just because it's a middle grade, and me and middle grade just don't really get along anymore. I'm just not as into that anymore, I guess, but I tried. So, another book that I read was Nothing More to Tell, and I actually did love this one, I promise. There are books that I enjoyed in September. I really, really enjoyed this one. So this book is by Karen McManus. It is her newest book. I have read everything she has ever written and will continue to do so. And this book follows our main character, Bryn, and she left her high school after this scandal that she got in huge trouble for. But now she has to come back. Her dad's job has moved them back, and she will be going back to this school where her favorite teacher was murdered 4 years ago. And her ex-best friend, Trip, was one of the kids that found the teacher, and definitely something about their story, the kids who found him, didn't quite add up. So she knows that he is lying about something, but she doesn't know what. And she is kind of investigating this murder kind of years later. She's interning at a TV show, I think? Like an unsolved cases thing. So yeah. This one was really good. I did really enjoy it. This is exactly what I love about young adult mystery thrillers. Set in high school, you've got the little romance on the side, you've got the like academic vibes. It's just like more fun, you know, like adult thrillers tend to be darker and I love those, but this one was just like relaxing and cozy but still dark and thrillery, you know, like it's got the perfect mix of those vibes for me. I have read everything she's ever written, and there's only one of her books that I didn't like, which was the one she published right before this. And it wasn't that it was a bad book, I just thought it was like the reveal was boring to me. But every other book that she has written I have absolutely loved, and this one was no different. Loved it. Can't wait for her to publish her next book. And then along kind of similar lines, I also read The Final Gambit by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. This is the third book in the Inheritance Games series, and it was the perfect ending to this series. I think I talked about it in a vlog, but I absolutely loved the way that it ended. I loved the romance. I loved the development of our main character. I feel like how it ended was very in character for her, and I really liked that. And I just thought like the mystery part, like it was so much fun. I enjoyed all 3 books, and I always say like this is what I wanted out of Truly Devious. Like I went into Truly Devious with such high hopes and was let down so hard, and this is what I was hoping for. This is a 5-star young adult mystery to me. Alright, next up I read The Girl Who Drank the Moon, which is a middle grade fantasy that follows kind of a few people. So we have this little town called the Protectorate, and every year, I think, every year the people of the Protectorate leave a baby in the woods as a sacrifice to the evil witch who lives in the woods. However, said evil witch is actually not evil at all. She doesn't know why they're leaving these babies in the woods, and so she takes the babies and delivers them to other towns with people who want the babies to save them. So she's doing that. She takes this baby and she is on her way to go deliver it, but she accidentally enmagics this baby, and so she ends up raising this child herself because an enmagicked baby is very dangerous. And so Luna is this baby, and so we kind of follow like Luna growing up and the witch who she calls her grandmother, kind of like trying to figure out how to solve some conflict related to the magic in Luna. And then we also have this man from the Protectorate who doesn't really trust the leaders of the Protectorate who are sacrificing these babies and is kind of trying to like fix that problem. So we're kind of following a few different people. It is very whimsical. We've got the cutest little dragon and the most fun little, like, not even little, like, very large swamp monster, and they're just so much fun. Like, if you want a solid middle grade whimsical fantasy, this one is perfect. I got this one from the library, and it says YA on it. I would definitely call it middle grade. She's the oldest she gets. I mean, we kind of follow her childhood, but it ends when she's 13. Just before she turns 13. So really she's 12 for the majority of the book. That's middle grade. But I don't get to make those decisions, so. Okay, and then the last book that I finished this month was The Family Remains by Lisa Jewell. So this is a sequel to The Family Upstairs, which I read, I think last year or earlier this year. I don't remember, but this was good. It follows all the same characters for the most part. We don't see Libby's point of view in this book, but we're still following some of the other characters. And I can't really say a whole lot about it without giving away the first book, so I won't give you the plot. I felt like it was an interesting sequel, but an unnecessary sequel. Like, we didn't need this book. It really didn't add much to the original story. We did see some extra character development, which was interesting. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it was good. I gave it like 3.5 stars, I think. I'm just gonna stick with that. It was interesting, but it wasn't needed, you know? Okay. Alright, and then we do have one more book that I didn't finish, but I started it, and that is Unleashed by Sophie Jordan, which is the second book to Uninvited. And y'all know I read Uninvited in August and absolutely adored it. I devoured that book. And now I will never finish this book. For the same reason that I struggled with Crush. You know why I DNF'd Crush the first time and why I didn't want to read it? Same thing here. I hate that. I hate it. I hate when that happens. And I can't talk about it without spoiling things. But I hate it. So there's a series that I really loved that was forever ruined for me. But it's fine. It's fine. We will move on and we will read something different. Alright, so those are the books that I read in September. It was not my favorite reading month, but that's okay. We're gonna do so much better in October. Have we read anything in October yet? No ma'am, we have not. But we still have time to turn this around. It's only the 3rd. We are turning things around, I promise. So if you made it this far in the video, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. The little bell icon will notify you when I post. Generally it's Sundays and Wednesdays. We've gotten a little bit behind, so we might have skipped a Sunday here or there. But we're gonna get back on track. It's gonna be Sundays and Wednesdays again. And I will see y'all in the next video. Bye!